All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakwadash. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. This lesson is entitled Deliverance from the Deceiver. Okay? All right. So we'll get into it. Job 9 verses 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the face of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? All right. So the wicked today is none other than Esau, Edom, the Edomite. Okay. And they were given the dominion of the earth to rule in wickedness. All right. How they see fit. Okay. To punish Jacob, as you can see here in the background, looking down at them, counting their money. Okay. And to this very day, they have not restored the Israelites. Okay. We're talking trillions of dollars. We're talking definitely billions. Okay. For the ancestors that followed for the descendants that came after these men who suffered these atrocities. And what you have to understand is this happened all around the world. That's what we're trying to tell you. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. This happened all around the world in colonization. They didn't just do this to the so-called Native Americans, okay, in this land of Americas. They also did it to the Negroes, okay, all over America, because Jacob, he is the former of all things. All right, it was Negroes all over the planet. Okay, he just reclassified them, renamed them, and also put other nations there. Okay, all right. So the Lord is going to restore the Israelites back to their glory. That's what the Bible is all about. Okay. All right. So we'll let me show you some videos here. You know what's happening to Cuba, right? That soon's going to happen to America, because that's what they want. These rich men here, they want that to happen to everybody here in America. What's going to happen to what's happening to Cuba right now? So let's take a look here. All right.
There's no electricity, no running water, nothing. So waking up 3 a.m. pitch black, the lights are gone. I am reaching for my little portable fan because it is hot. There's like no turn the AC down. It's real heat. And this is how my day starts. My cousin comes in, goes straight to the shutters, removing all the rolled up paper because the frogs jump into the room. And yeah, I'm actually not even over that. But let's go ahead and talk about the bathroom situation. So there's no running water like we're used to. So everything is filled up with buckets. I have to brush my teeth with my own bottle of water. Yeah, so we have these buckets here. And this is how I took my shower. I use these 2 buckets. I go in the shower, do my thing. I have these disposable washcloths. I use my little tin thing, and that's that. Let's get into this toilet. There's no toilet seats, and every single time you use the bathroom, you have to dump the water down the toilet so that everything goes down. You do this every single time. I'm still grateful to be here in a very humbled way, but yeah, that is the whole bathroom situation. So back into my room, I'm here doing a light beat, getting dressed, about to go see my family and really just give out all the things that they need and tour the town. So I am just sharing this all with you guys to kind of shift your perspective on the things that we have here in America. So yeah, that is all, y'all. See you in the next video.
All right, so you've seen that. That's what's coming to America, Babylon the Great, real soon, because that's what they want. Okay, all right. They want to depopulate society. All right, you can go to the Georgia Guidestones. Just look that up, the Georgia Guidestones. They want to reduce the population in the world to 500 million. All right, these rich men that run the country, that run the world, okay? The earth has been given into their hand, all right? They colonized all these lands, okay, and took over, all right? So as you can see, they sanctioned Cuba, all right, for many, many years, all right? So let me show you another video. All right, stay tuned. This one's on Puerto Rico, all right?
The U.S. still has colonies. But we don't actually use the word colony. We prefer words like unincorporated territory or commonwealth. These are places where people are subject to U.S. rule, but don't enjoy the full rights that other Americans do. I want to tell you about one of them, Puerto Rico. When you're in Puerto Rico, you're not just in a vacation paradise. You are in a part of the United States. It feels like the United States, but it also feels distinctly different. This feeling, this limbo state, didn't happen by accident. In fact, it's perhaps the best example of the lengths the United States has gone to hold on to land. So let me show you how the US kept their colony in the Caribbean, using brute force, spying, and the abuse of land and people. This is how the US stole Puerto Rico. Okay, so it's 1898, and the Spanish Empire looks like this. But it's faltering. A lot of its colonies are fighting for independence. The United States gets involved and allies with a lot of these independence fighters. They say they want to liberate these colonies, and so they get into the war and they win. But instead of liberating Spain's colonies, they just take them for themselves. And one of those colonies was Puerto Rico. And so on an ordinary Tuesday in the late 1800s, there was a quiet ceremony that takes place on the governor's balcony in San Juan. After 400 years of Spanish rule, Puerto Rico, this island in the Caribbean, is simply passed from one ruler to the next. And this begins an unprecedented experiment in the Caribbean for the United States, an operation to extract resources, money, labor, and military protection from this small, beautiful island. They start by passing a law that gives the U.S. total political control over the island. They start appointing American leaders to govern the island, men who don't speak Spanish, don't know anything about Puerto Rico or its people. Most of these leaders treat the assignment like a business venture. Like this one guy who, when he was the leader of Puerto Rico, starts to give public Puerto Rican funds to American-owned businesses on the island. Then he stacks the government with American loyalists. And then eventually he resigns. But then he returns to the island to build a sugar kingdom. Now with the help of all of the political officials that he had appointed, this company balloons into the largest global sugar business on earth.
And when it's domino, you're sure it's pure.
At the same time, U.S. banks descend on the island, giving out very predatory loans and then foreclosing on land, gobbling it up and turning it into, you guessed it, sugar farms. Puerto Rico is slowly turning into a sugar island and becoming more and more dependent on shipments from the mainland. The U.S. enacts a new policy that says that anything going into Puerto Rico has to be transported by American ships with American crews. So of course this skyrockets the prices for locals, which is made worse by the fact that the US government had devalued and then outlawed the local currency. So now every Puerto Rican lost almost half of their wealth overnight. And as a part of this push to lock Puerto Rico in as their colony, they forbid Spanish in schools and public institutions. And so in this very short amount of time, the US turned Spain's former colony into this giant sugar farm, stripping down local identity and language and culture in the process, and locking the people under their control. And then Congress gives Puerto Ricans U.S. citizenship, which conveniently was just in time for a giant global war. So Puerto Rican men got sent to the front lines to fight for the country that was in the process of pillaging their island. By 1922, a series of Supreme Court cases had solidified Puerto Rico as a, quote, unincorporated territory, which is just like word salad for the U.S. Constitution doesn't fully apply here. I mean, think about it. Unincorporated territory, this intentionally contradictory jargon that came from these men hundreds of miles away. But honestly, the message was very clear. Puerto Ricans did not look or sound enough like Americans to actually be a part of the United States. By the 1930s, big banks owned 60% of these sugar farms, 80% of the tobacco farms, and 100% of the railroads and shipping facilities. At the same time, Puerto Ricans were being paid less than 4 cents an hour. If you put that into today's currency by inflation, that's like $1 an hour. Poverty and malnutrition start to grip this island. All the while, the U.S. is turning the island into an essential military outpost. See how Puerto Rico juts out a little bit into the Caribbean? It served as a strategically positioned island to help protect trade routes and a place where you could refuel ships. Over time, more and more military bases and installations start to pop up on this island. The U.S. would go on to test thousands of bombs in Puerto Rico, leaving behind one of the most hazardous waste sites in the United States. And by the middle of the 1900s, Puerto Rico really starts to mirror what the U.S. envisioned. Puerto Rico, the sugar metropolis. Puerto Rico, the land of low wages and abundant laborers. Puerto Rico, the irreplaceable military outpost. The empire that built themselves as the liberators from Spain is now an overlord, and the locals start fighting back. The fight is led by this guy, Pedro Albizu Campos. He's this poor kid who ends up going to Harvard. He graduates valedictorian from Harvard Law School. He serves the U.S. in World War I and even helps draft Ireland's independence constitution. The guy's kind of a superstar. Ultimately, he returns to his hometown to attempt the impossible, Puerto Rican independence. But soon, Campos would find himself bouncing in and out of prison for 25 years. It's easy to forget that the U.S. still has colonies. They really need our help.
So you see that? You see, this has been happening this whole time. All right. They possess the whole earth. Okay. All right. And the whole of Americas. All right. This is what the Lord pointed out to us where the Israelites would be. They would be an oppressed people. All right. All across the Americas. And that's why we have the 12 tribe sign.
And suppressing the country. The United colonies.
All right, let me let you listen to another one.
Never forget this. The U.S. took Puerto Rico. They took over them. Okay, remember that. Go research it. They took them over, and now they won't give them any fucking water. The government is not helping our people. I just want y'all to never forget this. The U.S. took Puerto Rico. They took over them. Okay, remember that. Go research it. They took them over, and now they won't give them any fucking water.
Okay, so the United States apologized for overthrowing the Black Queen of Hawaii, and we're going to get right into it. What you're looking at on the screen is Queen Liliuokalani of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Hawaii was a kingdom before it was overthrown by the United States government. And they admit to this. So let's confirm and just look at the document. What you're looking at on the screen is a joint resolution from Congress. You can Google it, but let's just read the headline. It says, a joint resolution to acknowledge the 100th anniversary of the January 17th, 1893 overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii, and to offer an apology to Native Hawaiians on behalf of the United States for the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii. Okay? So this video really is going to be almost like a blueprint for how they colonize. They do the same thing everywhere they go, to indigenous people, wherever they go, the same playbook. So it shouldn't be a surprise on what they do to indigenous people in North America. Okay? So at the bottom of the screen, this is a depiction of indigenous Hawaiians. done in 1822 by Louis Corris, and clearly so-called black people, as was the Queen at that time. Okay, now this is just the original document, the joint resolution. You can Google it, read the full document. This is just part of it, just to confirm the original source. Okay. Now this is another part of their playbook. They use deception. The United States are masters of deception and narrative, changing images, and this is the perfect example. Captain James Cook, that's who you're looking at in the upper left-hand corner. He basically rode around colonizing different places. Now, when he got to Hawaii, the native people of Hawaii unalived him. As you can see in this depiction, the people of Hawaii are so-called black. That painting was done in the 1700s. But this is the problem. You know, when you lie like they do, when they found those paintings, they found those paintings in 2004. Before they found those paintings, they were releasing images like this, depicting the indigenous Hawaiians as white people. So that caused a major problem. And I'm going to show you a couple of the articles. But the depictions to the left are from a well-known artist. His name is John Cleverly. Those paintings were done in the 1700s. So they had a problem. Basically, they got caught in a lie. Okay? Now, here are a couple of articles. And not only was it wasn't just a problem that the indigenous Hawaiians were depicted as black. It was also a problem about what Captain Cook was doing in the images. And they didn't only find that image I showed you. They found several from this family who had it in their collection. And they had some kind of relation to the expeditions or the colonization. But it just basically, they got caught in a lie. You can see it says, hidden painting debunks the myth of Captain Cook's unalive in Hawaii. And here's another article, says, painting sparks Captain Cook debate. So basically, again, you know, that's what they do. They deceive and change the narrative and give you false images, but they got caught in a lie. You know, they found all those authentic depictions. They had to change. It just caused a problem. Okay. Now you can screenshot this. I'm just going to summarize it real quickly. The guy in the
Salakia, let me get that back for you. I was trying to pause it so you can see. Took over them.
Okay, remember that.
You can see how they always do.
It was also a problem.
As titled, this lesson, what I'm trying to get across is that deliverance is deliverance from the deceiver, okay? And it will come to the Israelites, okay? And that's the reason why we have the 12 tribe sign, because those are all countries of the Americas and so forth, right? Okay, so you're seeing their blueprint, what they do and how they do it. Okay, so let me continue on here.
About what Captain Cook was doing in the images, and they didn't only find that image I showed you. They found several from this family who had it in their collection, and they had some kind of relation to the expeditions or the colonization, but it just basically, they got caught in a lie. You can see it says, hidden painting debunks the myth of Captain Cook's unalive in Hawaii. And here's another article, says, painting sparks Captain Cook debate. So basically, again, you know, that's what they do. They deceive and change the narrative and give you false images, but they got caught in a lie. You know, they found all those authentic depictions. They had to change. It just caused a problem. Okay. Now you can screenshot this. I'm just going to summarize it real quickly. The guy to the left in the picture that you see of the two people, the guy to the left is Eugene Miller Van Reed. Basically, he brought a bunch of Japanese immigrants into Hawaii to work on sugarcane plantations. Okay, these are just a picture of some of the Japanese immigrants who came to work on sugar plantations. And that is another part of their playbook. This is the blueprint for colonization. You bring in another group of people, reclassify them. Now, when you look up a native Hawaiian, you're not going to get an image like what's at the top. Let's look at the top. At the top of the screen, that's another illustration. Those are hula dancers. Those hula dancers are obviously so-called black women. That was when the Russians visited in the 1800s. Okay, 1816. Clearly, so-called black women hula dancers. But now, when you look at Hawaii now, and let me say this, nothing against the modern Hawaiian people, but Hawaii is a very admixed place. Basically, Hawaii is this. Hawaii is mixed with white Europeans, Japanese, Chinese, and black people. Okay? And also, now look at this pie chart. You see the green is the black. I mean, it's so small, it doesn't even have a number. It's just a little slither now. Okay? But we see at the top, those were the indigenous black people. Now they're just a sliver. And if you Google Native Hawaiian, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get these people. And again, nothing against these people, but these people are mixed. It can be any percentage. It can be black and white, black and Japanese, black and Chinese, all four of them mixed. And you can kind of see it in their phenotype here. And again, nothing against these people, but history is just history. This is not what the island looked like, before it was colonized, okay? And this is just to kind of help you, because, world history can be a huge puzzle. So this is just a little piece to kind of help put things in context.
So, as you can see, all right, the devil has been really busy, all right? He conquered and colonized the whole world. That's what this video is showing you, pretty much. And mainly the Americas, all right? And the Lord is tracking the Israelites from Europe to the Americas, all right? From one end of the earth even to the other, all right? Let me go ahead and get that real quick, all right? Deuteronomy 28 and 64. Okay. Deuteronomy 28 and 64, and it reads, "And the Lord, Yahweh," all right, in capital letters, "shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." So we know they took the tribe of Judah, the people of Europe, all right, the so-called Negroes, all right. Can we know that the tribe of Judah was amongst, all right, these Arabs and all right, the Negroes that were ruling the land in Europe, okay, and all right, took them over to West Africa, all right, in those islands over there, Guinea, St. Thomas, all of that, okay, and they also came over to West Africa and took the Negroes from West Africa, which were from the tribe of Judah, to America and to the Americas, to Brazil, all right, and to the Americas, all right. This is a part of the history, but all right, we can when we see this, we put this, what I'm trying to do is get you to put the pieces together as to what the Lord is trying to tell us. All right. Okay. They will be scattered from one end of the earth to the other. All right. And let's read that again. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, Deuteronomy 28:64, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And that's a representative mainly of the tribe of Judah. All right. And also the Native Americans, they were actually taking a lot of them back to Europe from the Americas. Okay. All right. So Revelation, we'll go to the scriptures. All right. Let's go here. Revelation chapter 20 and verse 7 and 8. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of prison. This is representative of the Roman Empire, all right? The empire of the Edomite, when they were in power and rule as the Caesars and all right of Rome and so forth. Okay, they went into the Dark Ages, and so-called Negroes and Arabs were ruling over in Europe. Okay, and when their 1,000 year rule ended, the Negroes ended, the Lord allowed them to be conquered by various, there was a bubonic plague that came through, number one, all right, and also the children of the so-called Negroes also joined in and overthrew them, okay? That's why you see so-called white people in the castles over there in Europe, all right? And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of prison, the Edomites, okay? That's who that's talking about. And shall go out to deceive the nations. You see that? And you see what the gentleman who was telling you about what happened to the people of Hawaii and how they were reclassified. Okay. All right. The Negroes were pretty much wiped out. Okay. So that goes back to actually Job 9:24. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. Let's read that real quick. All right. He covered the faces of the judges. It's pointing to a specific people that would do this. And you should be able to see who it is. That, there was none other than so-called white man that did this. All right. Okay. He brought in the Japanese into the land when it was Negroes already there ruling. And they had a queen. They had a kingdom. Okay. And she was black. You understand? Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. You see that? Their faces were covered. The judges were covered. Because you wouldn't know. If we didn't get the internet, you would never find this out. It was hidden information that people are bringing out. Okay. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? All right. So the Lord wants you to point out who did this. Okay. So you can identify the wicked. Okay. All right. So they colonized the whole world. Okay. And mainly they took the Americas and they got rich off of the Israelites that were in the land of the Americas. All right. Cuba, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Haiti, Venezuela, Jamaica, Guatemala, Brazil. All right. All right. Over there in Europe too. Okay. They used the Negroes as slaves. Okay. Micah chapter 2 and verses 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it's in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Okay, so you see that? That's what they've been doing this whole time. Okay, so that's why the Lord is going to bring forth the judgment against this particular people, which are the Edomites. Verse 3. All right. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, behold, against this family, that would be the family of the Edomites, okay, do I devise an evil from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go heartily, for this time is evil, okay? Because the Lord is going to raise up the nations against America, Babylon the Great, all right, into World War III, okay? The nations are going to join together, all right, and they're going to fight this great war, okay? Isaiah 42 and verses 22, and it reads, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. And that's the Israelites. Okay. All right. That's the Lord caused this to happen. They were delivered into the hand of their enemies. All right. Okay. All right. We can go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Go to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger. You see what happened to the Puerto Ricans, right? That show you clearly. Okay. Then people were working for what? $1 a day. Okay. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he had destroyed thee. And we know this yoke of iron went around the so-called Negroes' neck here in the Americas. All right. But we've been oppressed the same way. Okay. All right. We go to Jeremiah 50 and 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Okay. They're oppressed together. Okay. We're going through the same thing. All right. Oppression. Okay. All right. But the Lord is going to deliver us out of this from the deceiver. Okay. Sirach 25 and 7. Sirach, that'd be Ecclesiasticus 25 and 7. Said, there be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue, a man that haveth joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Okay. When we go back here to Psalms chapter 83, it tells us that Esau, Edom, is the enemy of the Lord and the Israelites. It says, we'll go to verse 2, Psalms 83 and 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. You see, they concocted these plans. All right. Okay. All right. And overthrow the indigenous of the people, which were Israelites. Right. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Okay. They're confederate against the Israelites, all these nations. Okay. And we'll just point out the number 1 here. And it'd be Edom. All right. That is the enemy, main enemy of the Israelites. All right. That will be the so-called white man. All right. Luke 1 and 68. Right. So we'll be delivered from the deceiver by way of the Savior, Yahweh Shai. It says, blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, for he has visited and redeemed his people, and has raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. So that's what the Savior is coming to do, okay, with the angels, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant, the oath which he sware to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life. Okay? So the Lord is going to bring forth this great deliverance, just like he did in Egypt. Okay? The Israelites were in Egypt. And he's going to deliver them from the north country here, from the bulk of the Israelites are here in pretty much under the oppression of Esau, Edom, and in this nation of Babylon. Okay. All right. Jeremiah 23:7. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, Yahweh, that they shall no more say, the Lord, all right, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, liveth. Okay. The Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So let me read that again. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. You know, Moses was sent, raised up, and he delivered with the power of Yahweh Shai and the angels, the Israelites out of Egypt. All right. Verse 8. But this is what we're going to be talking about in the future. Okay. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel, the descendants, out of the north country. Where is that? The Americas. We listed it to you. You see what had happened to those people in the north country. In Mexico, they had their land taken by the United States. Okay. So-called white man. Puerto Rico, they were put in bondage. Venezuela, okay, we can see they just walked in, took their president, killed all the soldiers, all right, with some kind of crazy sonic weapon, and just left, and then took the oil. Took a barge of oil with them. That's what they said, or DJ Trumpet said, right? Venezuela, Guatemala, all in the Americas. Brazil, all right, that's the Americas, all right. This, all right. And he controls them. The so-called white man controls all those lands. All right. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. We're just trying to paint the picture for you so you can understand what we're trying to tell you. Okay. So when we present that 12 tribe sign, okay, that's the reason why. Okay. They gained control of the earth and made trillions off of the Israelites. That's why. You understand? Okay. Made trillions of dollars. Okay. So I thought I would bring that out. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakwadash. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. This one was entitled Deliverance from the Deceiver. Okay. These men here. All right. And that's what's happening to this very day. All right. To this very day. Shalom.